One of the many reasons that I find Islam so beautiful is because Muslims will accept the trials and tribulations of life and have a positive approach towards their tests. And that is the lens of a true believer. Which other belief system does this? In spite of the hardship, in spite of their pain, they embrace it. The world has woken up. The world has woken up to the suffering individuals right now. And alhamdulillah, they have opened the eyes and the hearts to many, because the questions that are being asked are like, how are these people suffering and enduring so much pain and distress, which is an understatement, but yet they still stand firm and strong? Some of them are still smiling and they still bow down in submission, still praying for forgiveness from our higher power, Al-Muqsat, who is the most fair, this being one of Allah's 99 names, and it emphasizes on demanding justice for the wronged from the wrongdoers, subhanallah. The reason why I reference the names of Allah and why it's so important is because in times of hardship and calamities, who should we be calling out to? We should be calling out to the most kind, the most...
What is she talking about? Every single religion does that, and non-religious ideologies do that as well, and even modern psychology does that as well. Literally every single one of them do that. Like, I don't know how she... What the hell are you talking about? Every single one of them promises this. Islam says this, Christianity says this, Judaism says this, Buddhism says this, Hinduism says this, and Stoicism says this. I mean, they all claim to be able to help you in trials and tribulations. Modern psychology does this. Existentialism, that's another school of thought that tries to address all of these tribulations. So many philosophers do this. Who doesn't do this? Like, what the hell? Look, and listen to this.
One of the many reasons that I find Islam so beautiful is because Muslims will accept the trials and tribulations of life.
Muslims will accept the trials and tribulations of life. Okay, so here's the thing. This level, the acceptance in Islam is actually toxic. You know what? If we're looking at ancient ideologies, you know who does this right? Stoicism. Stoicism does this perfectly, because it doesn't make you, it tries to make you tough against hardship, but it doesn't try to make you indifferent to it, because Stoicism tries to make you accept the hardship that you have no control over, but also the hardship that you have control over, for you to take action to change it. You want an ideology, an ancient ideology that talks about hardship in a much more productive way? Read here. Here, read this. Marcus Aurelius. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism, basically. If ancient people took this book more seriously than the Bible, than the Quran, the world today would have been such a better place by now. This was available back then. This was written before the Quran. People are like, oh, people back then, they didn't know any better. They did know better. This was written before the Quran. This is it. Go read this one. Like, if this was the book that they referred to, the world would have been such a much better place. It does not refer to any superstition, any god, it doesn't rely on any god or any afterlife. It doesn't rely on it. It's all based on this world. It's all based on this world, and it tells you what to do when it comes to hardship and tribulation. It provides you with the best guidance for its time. So yeah, go on.
And tribulations of life, and have a positive approach towards their tests. And that is the lens of a true believer. Which other belief system does this?
Almost all of them. I mean, all of them say that they do this. When it comes to trial and tribulation, yes. Doesn't Christianity claim that? Judaism has that. I read the Judaism, the Torah. It does. Buddhism does that. Hinduism does that. They all claim to do that. Some of them do a poor job. Some of them do a better job, like ancient ideas like Stoicism. They do a good job. I mean, even Epicureanism does a better job than Islam. And these are much more ancient than your Quran. And now we have so much better stuff. Now, with modern times, with a better understanding of the human mind, and the Quran does such a horrible job when it comes to hardship. It doesn't care. It doesn't care about this world. The Quran tries to the Abrahamic religions yeah, are nihilistic. Well, at least the ones that believe in an afterlife, because it dismisses the value of this world and and puts all your attention and focus on the afterlife. This world is just a testing ground. So the trials and tribulation, the hardship that you're experiencing in this world, it dismisses that as something that matters at all, because you have the next life to look after. That is the most toxic and harmful way when it comes to looking at hardship. Because at least in Stoicism, it divides hardship into two parts: hardship that you cannot control, and because I cannot control it, it tries to make your mind strong enough to try to be able to deal with it. And then the hardships that you can control, and those are the ones that you have to pay attention to and reduce, because this world matters. If you can reduce hardship, you should be able to. The Quran and Islam does the opposite. The Quran and Islam makes you chase hardship. It makes you bring suffering because it worships death. It's a cult of death and suffering and misery. Anyways, let's continue.
In spite of the hardship, in spite of their pain, they embrace it. The world has woken up. The world has woken up to the suffering individuals right now. And alhamdulillah, they have opened the eyes and the hearts to many, because the question...
I mean, what's the point of like, oh, the world has opened their eyes to suffering? Who cares? If you're a Muslim, the suffering doesn't even matter. Like, the suffering should be accepted, apparently.
The hearts to many, because the questions that are being asked are like, how are these people suffering and enduring so much pain and distress, which is an understatement, but yet they still stand firm and strong? Some of them are still small.
Yeah, by dismissing the importance of this world. That's not the right way to do it. They stand strong. Muslims who are very fundamentalist, they stand strong in front of suffering because they have dismissed the importance of this world entirely. That is not the right reaction.
Smiling, and they still bow down in submission, still praying for forgiveness from our higher power, Al-Muqsat, who is the most fair, this being one of Allah's 99 names, and he emphasizes on demanding justice.
Which religion did not demand justice? Everybody demands justice. The problem is the definition of justice. Every religion demands justice. Every philosopher, even fascists demand justice. Communists demand justice. Liberals demand justice. Islam demands justice. Christianity demands justice. Hinduism demands justice. Everybody, every philosopher, every political philosopher, every political theoretician demands justice. The problem is they have different definitions of what that justice means. That's the issue. What do you mean by justice? You think you have done something profound by demanding justice? Wow. Islam demands justice. Oh wow, whoop-de-doo.
For the wronged from the wrongdoers, subhanallah. The reason why I reference...
Subhanallah. Wow, so profound. Let's separate the wrongdoers from the good doers. Like, oh my God, this is so groundbreaking. Subhanallah, subhanallah. What earth-shattering statement.
Justice for the wronged from the wrongdoers, subhanallah. The reason why I reference the names of Allah and why it's so important is because in times of hardship and calamities, who should we be calling out to? We should be calling out to the...
I mean, this is such bullshit, and you're even not able to say this by yourself. Like, you're checking your notes. Like, this is such fluffy, useless, meaningless language. You can't even say it just, by yourself without actually checking your notes. I mean, if this was like a philosophical statement or something that was like more profound and analytical, then I would see why you have to check your notes. But even this like fluffy language, you still have to read it from a paper.
What's so important is because in times of hardship and calamities, who should we be calling out to? We should be calling out to the most kind, the most...
We should be calling out to most kind. Yeah, this is just meaningless, fluffy rainbows and butterfly language.